Hello and welcome to the 18th episode of the Realist Podcast, I think. A podcast about our real list, which is a list of movies, movie reels. That's the pun in the name. I'm your host, Ellis.
And I'm your host, Gloria.
And today we have a selection from me. This is The Martian. Many of you have probably heard of this. It's also a novel. A very, very good novel, I might add. I know there are some people that really don't like it. They don't see it, that don't agree that it's good. And you know what? I understand. It's not a perfect book. But I think, as far as sci-fi stuff goes, for an average audience, it's a really good book. But this is not about the book. This is about the movie, which was adapted. Well, the adaptation was released in 2015, starring Matt Damon. And Matt Damon. And was directed by Ridley Scott of Alien fame, if I'm right, if I'm remembering correctly. Which, certainly the right person to do a sci-fi movie. And stars Matt Damon, like I said, Jessica Chastain, Kristen Wiig, Jeff Daniels, Michael Pena, Kate Mara, Sean Bean, who I did not realize... I recognized him, but I was like, I don't remember who that is. And then I was like, oh, it's Edward Stark. Sebastian Stan, Askell
Winter
Henny.
Soldier. Sebastian Stan is the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, Askell Henny and that last name. And didn't it have, it has Donald Glover as well.
Yeah. It has Mr. Gambino.
Yeah, Childish Gambino. This is America, right? Yeah.
Mr. This is America. Lafayette, go lay down.
Lafayette's in his cone. He's sad. But yeah, so this is a sort of, set 20 minutes in the future sci-fi movie where we land on Mars, and there's a storm which forces the crew of the mission to evacuate. Matt Damon's character, Mark Watney, is hit by a part of the antenna and left for dead because they can't find him in the dust storm. So, yeah. One of the things that I noticed while we were going through this movie, usually I want to throw my co-host a provocative question. I can't come up with one right this second, but what I did want to say was that in going through this movie, I didn't sort of realize how difficult it might be for someone who has not seen the book to digest this movie, especially in a television format, where you're not necessarily going to be 100% paying attention because there's commercial breaks, and you're in your own home, and there are distractions like a dog in a cone. And
Go lay down.
yeah, exactly. And that's sort of, I had to do the very typical thing of interjecting a lot, and normally I do that when I find something really funny, but this was interjecting to explain what was going on. I know some of that was unprompted, but you did have a handful of questions throughout.
I did, because I didn't know, don't get me wrong, I love space, and I did like this movie. I out of all the other movies that I've seen, I really liked this movie. Because it combined, it had, the spacey sci-fi vibe, and it was, it's Matt Damon. Who doesn't like Matt Damon?
Yeah, and Mark Watney's character is a really fun... It's a guy you really want to root for.
Yeah, he is a funny character. But yeah, watching this movie, and then, he's on Mars, he's by himself, everybody thinks he's dead. And they don't even tell the crew until, 2 months in.
Yeah, it is 2 months.
Because it's, 10 months from Mars to back to Earth?
Yeah, it was a 10-month trip back. But yeah. I mean, that's, that is sort of, I wanted to say this. So, the character of the NASA director, I can't remember what the actor was, but the character of the NASA director, the guy who is...
Jeff Daniels?
Was that Jeff Daniels?
The guy who played Joey from Full House.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that guy. He is the closest thing to an antagonist in this movie, aside from Mars.
Because when I first saw him, I was like, he's not gonna want Mark to come home.
Well, yeah, no, he's not an evil guy. He is just the relatively conservative head of NASA, and by conservative I mean he is the most concerned about, you know, the PR, the sort of
The
getting their
people.
funding, and bringing the other people home, and he's
I'm putting you down because your father and I are trying to film a podcast, and we can't have you.
the dog's being a pain. Yeah, I don't.
Okay.
He is a kind of person that, in the context of the movie, you want to not like. You want to say like, "Well, what is he doing?" He's, he is the devil's advocate, so to speak, on a lot of this stuff, and that's. I mean, you can look at it and be upset with him, with the character, or you can look at it rationally and understand that he is really trying to look out for NASA's best interest and not try to be a hero, It's not his job to try to be a hero. And that all comes to a head with oh god, I can't remember his name.
Who?
Rich Purnell. The Rich Purnell maneuver getting sent as a JPEG that's actually a coded text file that has the instructions. And, Rich Purnell is a steely-eyed missile man.
No.
He's going to do what he's going to do.
He's fine, as long as he doesn't, jump up there.
He's probably going to do that, and then he's going to get his cone stuck in the window, but either way.
Lafayette, no.
This is one of those movies where... So, compared to, Interstellar, right? Interstellar is, a huge... It's an experience. And, yeah, there are a lot of really cinematic shots of Mars, but it's not designed to be... it's not designed to be an IMAX picture.
No.
It is a movie that, follows the book in many ways. Well, it follows the book really well, actually. There are a couple of plot points that are missing, but...
I've never read the book, so you're the one who's told me that there was a book. I didn't know there was a book until maybe last night, so...
And then you asked me if I had it, right? And I was
you have it as a PDF.
Yes, I have a PDF copy of it. I don't remember how I got it. And it's probably on a flash drive somewhere, but I remember reading that late at night in my freshman year of college. I mean, I read through the whole thing in 3 days when I saw it the first time. It is the kind of book that you just can't put down.
I've been looking for a good book to read.
I would recommend it. I really would, and we could probably get it at a library too.
Probably, yeah, but it's probably going to take me forever to read it because,
well,
as soon as I start reading a book, I start getting heavy and everything, and I'm just like, oh, I'm not going to finish this page, and I'll be on the first page.
Take it to work. No?
No.
Keep your mind off the heat. You'll feel like you're on Mars. Or Arizona, I suppose. Although a lot of this was filmed in Budapest, apparently.
Really?
Yeah, built on one of the largest sound stages in the world in Budapest, Hungary.
Oh.
So that's
So
interesting.
that's where Budapest is. I didn't know where Budapest was.
No?
No.
I only know where it is because of Hearts of Iron. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not good at that. But
can we talk about? Did you want to just jump right into it, or do you want to throw me a question?
Well, no, you can take over whenever. I've now monologued for 8.5 minutes.
I want to talk about the whole him being a botanist, and he's like, what did he say? He was like, I'm one hell of a botanist, or I'm gonna
science the out of this.
I'm gonna science the shit out of this.
Yeah, again, coming back to just how great of a character Mark Watney is. It's one of those things where you look at the plot for a lot of movies, and it's like, okay, so things had to line up, right? Mm-hmm. He's a botanist, so he knows how to he knows how to grow the potatoes and survive, right? They had the potatoes, which is another thing. If this mission hadn't been, if their 30 days on Mars hadn't included Thanksgiving, they wouldn't have had the potatoes. So he would have just starved to death, So it's those two things that line up perfectly to make this happen. Now, one of the things I wanted to say to you is that you picked out a couple important plot points before they happened, particularly with the Iris probe exploding on launch. You're like, it's gonna blow up.
Oh yeah. I was like, after watching some of the SpaceX video launches with you, I'm like, it's not gonna go on the first try. It's gonna fucking explode.
It's not even like a watching the SpaceX thing. It's just like understanding how movies work. You know. I mean, yeah, they could have had a success there and spun it around, but they needed to ramp things up. You know, and
they needed to make it seem like it wasn't going to be so easy to go to Mars and get him.
Exactly.
Give him the supplies that he needed.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Wait, weren't they sending the supplies to Hermes?
So that was the second time.
So the original plan was to send it to Mars.
Yeah. So if I'm remembering right, the original plan was to send it to Mars, and then after the first one blew up, then that's when Rich Purnell realized that what they could do was just send the Hermes back to Mars with the supplies on board.
And to last all of them till they get back home, right?
Yeah, and that would be faster. But the other thing is that also happened. They had to send the probe, and they had to send it on such a short notice because the HAB blew up.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the thing where that happened, and you were like, oh, you know?
Yeah, because I was shocked. I was like, all his hard work just went down the fucking toilet.
It just blew out the airlock.
Blew up everything, and all these plants were dead, and everything was frozen over. And I didn't know that it was gonna die that quickly. Yeah. I thought that life was possible on Mars.
Yeah, well, the issue with Mars is that it doesn't have a thick enough atmosphere, so it just gets real cold real fast.
So if we were to ever live on Mars, we'd have to live in, like, bubbles?
Yeah, we'd either have to have, we'd have to live in, some sort of enclosed habitat, like giant hamsters, and drive Kia Souls, but we'd also...
Really?
Either that, or we'd have to thicken the Martian atmosphere somehow. And there are a few ways that have been proposed to do that, including just nuking Mars. Obviously, we're not going to do that, but...
Wouldn't that destroy the planet?
No. It would create, like, a nuclear winter. And so it would kick up a whole bunch of dust, and that would thicken the atmosphere a bit. I don't know. I don't think that's a sound proposition. I think the nuking of the nuking of Mars would be to melt the polar ice caps on Mars, and that would release all sorts of carbon dioxide and thicken the atmosphere and stuff like that. Either way, not a sound plan, but yeah,
it doesn't sound like a sound plan. It'd be like drilling to the center of the Earth and nuking the core of the Earth. I've heard of this movie before.
Yeah, we need to do an episode on the core.
Oh
honestly.
My god! No.
Yes.
No, I don't want to.
We don't have to watch it again.
Okay, I was about to say, if we have to watch that godforsaken movie again...
It's not that bad. I memed it up to be really bad, but it's not that bad. It is just one in a long line of, like, iffy 90s action movies, except it was made in the 2000s.
I don't like it. I don't like that movie. I don't like it.
What was your favorite part about this? Like, what was your favorite moment?
My favorite moment was, well, first of all, him being alive.
Oh, yeah, I mean, you were like, is he alive? And I went, it'd be a real short movie if he wasn't.
First of all, him being alive was a really good part of the movie. But second of all, it was the fact that he basically colonized Mars.
I love his justification for...
That still has money on it.
It had like 40 cents, right?
No, that's the $32 on there, babe.
$32? Oh, I thought this was the one we found outside.
No, that's the one that we were supposed to...
I thought it had like 40 cents on it or something, or we found it outside. Because I remember there was one that I found outside, and it was also great. But anyway, sorry, there was a Visa gift card on my desk. What was I saying? What were we talking about?
Colonizing Mars.
That and him justifying himself as a space pirate. And while I was...
What did they say? Call him Captain Blondebeard?
Captain Blondebeard. And while I was out mowing the lawn, I was thinking about how he has his little monologue about, like, when he's going to disassemble the MAV so he can go up and meet the Hermes. Mm-hmm. And he's like, they keep saying I'm going to be the fastest man in the history of space travel. Scientists don't use the word fast. They're saying that explicitly to get me on board with the idea because it sounds cool. And you know what? It sounds really cool.
Yeah. And the third thing that I really liked about this movie is that, like, he was fighting to survive. He did not want to die up there. He was trying to find a way to communicate with them. Well, first of all, they found out that he was still alive because with the satellites, they were like, this is from 54, and this is from what,
18.
18? No, from...
Yeah, it was 18 and 54, and it was the movement. Of
okay, yeah, 18 and 54. Sorry, I got the numbers mixed matched. But that was really cool. What?
I'm not sure it was 54. I think it was before that. But point is...
No, it was 18 to 54.
You sure?
Yeah.
That seems like a long time.
Or it was 21 to 54.
I think it was... No, one of them was 18 because it was before they left.
Okay, so it was 18 to 54.
I don't think so.
Yes,
it was. So. No, I don't think so.
It was.
Gonna have to go back. Gonna have to go back and check it.
It was.
Gonna have to go back and check it.
All right, check then.
Okay. I can't right now. We're doing a podcast.
But I like that he was fighting to survive. Like, he was doing everything in his power to live. Like, he did not want to die on Mars, and he knew where the next site was for the Ares 4.
Yes.
Was going to be, and so they came up with this plan to get him to the ship. Oh, the ship, yeah, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And for him to pop all the pieces off of it.
To lighten it.
To lighten it, because he had to be really, really light, and then he had to deassemble this whole ship, took out the control panel, all the seats besides one, took off the top, the windows, the door hatch. He even went as far as to shave off his beard.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that was for weight savings, but...
I don't think that was for weight savings either, but I liked this movie.
I'm glad. I really am glad, because this is one of those where it's... If I remember right, it's pretty early on our list, because I went, I gotta show you The Martian.
We still have to watch a whole bunch of movies on the DVR.
That's true. It was this or Atomic Blonde, honestly, that I was probably gonna pick this weekend.
Doom is this week.
Yeah, I was like, okay.
Doom is next week.
We'll do a sci-fi movie. There's not as much, action in this. It's a lot of problem solving, and it's...
I liked the problem solving in this movie, because you don't see a lot of movies nowadays where there's a lot of problem solving in it. And unless they don't do the problem solving on camera. Mm-hmm. They do it off camera and all right, we figured out our plan. This is our plan. This is what we're gonna do. But no, Mark literally was sitting there rationing his food, counting it out, doing the mathematics on how long he's gonna last, and he had to last until 560 souls or something.
It ends on 543. But yeah, 560 something with the 18 from the mission.
Yeah.
So yeah, something like that.
He had to survive all this time, and he did. He survived, and everybody on Earth was fighting to save him as well. Mm-hmm. Even though the director of NASA wasn't for most of it.
Wasn't for the crazy stuff, yeah.
He wasn't for the crazy stuff because he didn't want to get bad publicity. But I mean, you got to do what you got to do to get a man off a different planet.
He was alone on an entire planet. Think about that. Think about how that feels.
You're doing a lot of firsts. You colonize a planet. You're traveling all this far distance of land by yourself.
And there's nothing.
There's nothing there.
Nobody.
Oh my god. I didn't mean to cut you off. I wanted to talk about the crazy weather on Mars.
Okay. I don't know how... So, just to preface this,
mm-hmm.
because the stuff in the movie is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Andy Weir, the fellow who wrote the book, did a really great job of getting the science right.
Mm-hmm.
Down to actually, being able to grow the food and stuff like that. Would that be possible? And
poop potatoes.
The one thing, and the chemistry with the creating of the water, etc.
Yeah.
And the one thing that he took artistic liberty with is the weather. In the book, there's another storm that Mark has to deal with while he's driving, which is more akin to what an actual Martian storm is like. And the heavy windstorms at the beginning of the movie that set off the whole thing, that isn't realistic. There isn't enough air on Mars to cause that much wind.
Okay.
But the stuff they show is insane. You're right.
Yeah, like the 5 separate tornadoes in the distance, and the crazy rock rain or whatever you want to call it. I don't know if it was rain or if it was like just the wind blowing all the rocks
yeah, it was
around.
just a sandstorm.
I mean, it could have been like their form of rain or whatever. I don't know what Martian rain looks like, but
there's not enough atmosphere for it to rain. It's just because all of Mars is dust for the most part, dust and sand. Every storm is a dust storm.
So yeah, dust storm, sandstorm, through sandstorm.
What?
I like how he went to an old rover site.
That is my favorite part of the book.
And he went to the rover, dug it up, brought it to his home base, his hab, and that's how he started communicating with people on Earth, with everybody at NASA, and they did what do they call it? The what kind of alphabet?
The hexadecimal alphabet. Yeah.
That I couldn't say that 10 times if I tried. And then he was like, he was just blah, 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 blah. He was just making videos of his whole experience, and in the beginning scene, he was like, "I'm alive, surprise!"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Same."
the book is mostly told. I mean, the movie is decently well enough told through his logs, but the book even more so. That said, in the book, you also get a lot more time. Maybe more or less as much time with the ground crew, the NASA crew, but you get more time with the people on Hermes. You get more time with the rest of the Ares
Yeah, you don't
crew.
get to know them as much as you don't get to know them that well in the movie.
No, even though they are pretty important, considering they do their big sacrifice to turn the ship around and head back to Mars.
Exactly. People risked their families, their own lives, and their own fuel supply.
If something had, what was it? They're going to be out there for 900 extra days or whatever.
Yeah, they're like, this is 900 extra days away from our children and stuff like that.
And if something goes wrong with the ship, then they're dead.
Yeah.
It was, what did Director of NASA Man say? It's a high chance of losing one person versus small chance of losing 6 people.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's what?
No,
I thought you were winding up to say something. It's a well put together story, and I think they did a pretty good job of adapting the book. And I know that is a tough thing to do, and it doesn't happen all the time. There are plenty of god awful book to movie conversions out there. Some people would say,
Twilight.
I mean, you're not really starting with great source material, but yeah.
Listen, I read a majority of those books, and I've seen all the movies.
I'm sorry.
I've seen all.
I'm glad they aren't on the list.
No, they're not, and I'm glad they're not, because I don't think I could ever sit through Twilight again unless I'm making fun of it.
Yeah.
Like I do for a majority of movies, I'll make fun of them.
Yeah, this is hard to make fun of movie though.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about how they were telling him that he has to ration his rations now.
Yeah. Oh my god.
And he was taking a potato and he was cutting it and he was making like French fries. And then he was cutting a piece of bread and he cut it into 3s and then he cut that piece of bread in half. And then he ate that little cube of bread and he took a potato and he
dipped it in Vicodin.
He cut the potato in half and dipped it in Vicodin. And I was like, he's going to be high off his ass. I mean,
the first person to be high on Mars.
Yeah. And that's what you get for using all your ketchup in such a short amount of time.
I mean, yeah, you see him go kind of crazy with the ketchup at the beginning, so...
I mean, I'm pretty sure the potatoes were pretty bland without ketchup.
Yeah, they're potatoes. They're raw potatoes.
They're poop potatoes.
They're poop potatoes. I mean, I'm sure they don't taste like poop.
They're potatoes.
They're
potatoes. And then I want to talk about how skinny he was.
Oh my god.
I was like, that's the body of a woman right there. as soon as I saw him, when you were like, look how much weight he lost, and then he walked into his frame, I was like, that's like a body of a woman. And I'm pretty sure, like, no offense to anything, but like, he was pretty thin.
Yeah, no, absolutely. He I don't know if he lost a ton of weight for the role, but it sure looked like he did. Like,
it did.
I think that was real.
I think with the beard and the fact that his face was so shrunken in, his teeth looked huge.
Yeah, they were also super yellow. Did you notice?
Yeah, they were.
And
he was in need of a shower. Yeah. Oh my god! Imagine not showering for a year.
Yeah.
I just want to hop in the shower thinking about it.
Mm-hmm. I cannot be clean enough to think about not showering for a year. And I don't know. I just got distracted with Rich Purnell over
here. Oh yeah,
because,
we also didn't talk about China helping them out,
which is a really cool moment in the movie.
Because they were watching the news and they were like, "Well, if we don't help, the tabloids are going to question why we didn't help."
Mm-hmm. Well, they said they would never know that they could have helped. Because the rocket booster was totally classified.
Yeah.
Jinx. I just wanted to say how Donald Glover killed this part.
Oh my god.
There's a lot of really good acting in this movie.
Donald Glover is a great actor. I don't care what anybody says. He's a great actor, a great rapper, and I think he's a great person. I've never met him in person, but like I think he...
No idea.
I mean, he doesn't really... You don't really hear much of him, about him, like in the news or anything.
You don't hear much of his acting career.
Yeah, I mean, he played as Troy in Community, though.
Okay.
And he did really well in Community. That's a show we should watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we get a lot of shows to watch. Anyway, what about the space chair? Did you like the space chair?
I did.
All right, we got to do star ratings. I was going back and forth on this. Oh, we watched this. Let me type in yes. Oh, my caps lock was on. Yes. We watched it yesterday, which was the 15th.
Jesus Christ.
And what? That's already the Ides of May?
Yeah.
We're already halfway through the month? Yeah. Oh, man, what do I do? Do I give it the 5? I really like it.
I'm giving this a 5.
You're giving it a 5?
I'm giving it a 5 because it's, 1, it's about space. 2, it's about Mars, which I've always had a fascination about Mars, which is really weird, but like everybody has a fascination with a planet, right?
Probably not, but, a lot of people do.
I mean, I like Mars, I like space, and I think that this movie was really well put together, and it told a brilliant story about how a man is trying to survive on Mars. And Tess,
so don't judge me, keep talking. I can type.
How a man's trying to survive on Mars, and he does it, and then he gets in contact with everybody back on Earth to be like, hey, I'm alive, by the way.
Yep.
But yeah, I gave this a 5 because it's just great. I think it's a great movie.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic, and I think it's worth reading the book first. I think it's worth reading the book.
I will read the book if you get it for me out of the library.
Okay. Those are your terms?
Yes. I will read it if you get it for me out of the library because I'm not...
Just walk up to Mount Pleasant Library.
I'm not reading it...
on a PDF document?
Yeah, on a PDF document because I will get lost.
Just make a sticky note. Write down what page you're on.
I will lose my place.
Just write it down.
Or
don't close it. Just scroll.
No, I know, but I'll still lose my place. I'm a very forgetful person.
How do you forget something that you're not doing anything with? You open it up and it's on your page.
I'm forgetful of where I am in a book.
It remembers it for you if you never close it.
I know that, but I'm saying I'll forget my place, like what line I was on. So like, say
just always go to like the chapter. Always go to a chapter. End of a chapter. It's doable. I'm telling you, it's very doable.
No, it's not. Maybe for you, but not for me because I'm pretty fucking stupid. Jesus, I'm gonna gouge my eyes out with a spoon.
Well, then you'll never be able to read it.
You'll read it to me.
Yeah, is that what you want?
Imagery.
It'll be your bedtime story.
Imagery. Give me all the imagery in the world. You didn't explain why you wanted to give this movie a 5.
I like it.
I just went into so much detail about why I like this movie, and you're gonna be like, I like it.
I mean, I feel like I gushed about it all the way through. I feel like the one thing that I don't think about in this movie that is really good is the acting. And that's probably why I don't think of it.
I think Matt Damon did a really good job, though.
Matt Damon, no, that's what I mean. It's really well acted. I don't think there's a sore spot in there, except maybe the Chinese woman. She seemed to be happy about everything. Maybe that was just the fact that she's speaking Chinese and it's coming through in subtitles, and I'm misreading her. But that was a little bit weird. But that was the only thing. That was the only moment where I thought about the acting, aside from thinking about, holy crap, Donald Glover's doing a really good job.
He did a really good job.
But of course, yeah, Matt Damon's performance is basically seamless. Everyone on the ship is pretty good. Everyone in NASA is really good. And it's funny because going through this now, having worked in office industry for a few years, I get the vibe of a lot of those meetings. So that's another just interesting thing. But,
anyways, that's the end of the podcast.
Yeah, that's if you liked this, well, first things first, if you've seen The Martian, or if you've read The Martian, you have something to say yourself, go ahead and leave a comment. We always read them. And
I find them funny sometimes, especially if they're from Hemlock.
And we need to get the channel up to 100 subscribers. Please subscribe.
Subscribe to see more.
And babe, you want to go play Kerbal Space Program?
Let's go do that, but also let's go watch Doom.
Doom. Oh boy. We have to watch
young Dwayne The Rock Johnson.